What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Vanguard Project podcast. My name is Austin Jardine, and a happy freaking Monday to you. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. And as lame as this is probably going to sound, I'm already excited for this coming weekend. I'm planning on getting my rifle sighted in, my hunting rifle sighted in on Saturday, and then hoping to sneak away for a little bit of camping and fishing on Sunday morning. So I've already got that Monday motivation to crank through this week and make it happen. But for those of you joining maybe for the first time, just a quick recap of kind of what this podcast is about. My hope here is best summed up as growth through story, strength through community. And what I mean by that and kind of how I do my best to live that out is I interview folks and have them share their stories with me in a way that hopefully relates to you, in a way to get you excited about something or think about life a little bit differently, find a community to join in on, or overcome whatever obstacle it is that you may be facing. So in doing that, I don't really share a whole lot about myself. I'm more interested in what the folks I'm interviewing have to offer and kind of their life experience to share with me so that I can learn from that as well. So really that's my hope is to hopefully glean some information from folks as I talk to them and relay it onto you guys in a way, like I said, that is digestible in some way, shape, or form. With that being said, if you haven't, please take a quick second to subscribe to the show. Stay up to date, whether that's on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube, or if you're a fan of the Instagrams like me, follow me on the Instagrams and stay connected with me that way. I'll be sure and link everything in the episode description. But before we get into it, I'm really excited about today's episode with Evan and Chase from VRB Labs. I connected with them a couple of weeks ago at the Eberlestock Out There event and kind of shot the shit with them a little bit, got to know them just a very little bit, and it was kind of fun to sit down again and get to know them a little bit more through this interview. But I have tested a couple of their products now. I've actually just rolled on their Recover CBD oil because for whatever reason, the past, I don't even know how long now, my neck has been kind of messed up and I really don't know exactly what I did to it. It could just be sleeping funky. It could be a helmet, my motorcycle. I really don't know. But I rolled on some of their Recover CBD kind of oil and I'm excited to see how it works. So it's kind of soaking in right now, but I have tried some of their sleep ointment and other things. And I'm a big fan, big fan. So they did sponsor today's show, which is super cool. So if you are fixing to get some new CBD products, use code Vanguard20 on verblabs.com. That's code Vanguard20, 20, and you'll save 20% on a single purchase, which is super cool. I did go check, make sure everything all kind of works and whatnot. So Vanguard20, Vanguard20 for 20% off VRB Labs. If you need some CBD products, they've got, your full spectrum, broad spectrum, and then no THC, which I can't remember the exact terminology, but be sure to go snag some if you need some. Support the guys, but otherwise, I'm going to stop yammering because you're going to learn a whole lot about these guys here in just a sec. So I'm going to stop talking and we're going to roll an awesome episode with Evan and Chase of VRB Labs. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Vanguard Project. My name is Austin Jardine, and today's episode is going to be a lot of fun because this is going to be the first time, I think it's the first time that I've recorded with two people on the horn with me. So I've got Evan and Chase, and we met, I think it was like 3 weeks ago now. We were talking just before we started recording that the past month in general has been a bit of a nightmare, but I'm excited because we chat kind of independently a little bit about what you guys are up to, kind of your backgrounds a little bit, and kind of the company that you're really starting to push forward with kind of your CBD products. But I don't want to take your intro away. So I don't know who may or may not want to go first to introduce yourself a little bit. And then we can just start kind of familiarizing people listening with you guys. And then what VRB Labs is up to.
Yeah, right on, man. Well, hey, first, I appreciate you having us on. We're proud to be on this thing and grateful for the opportunity. So, quick intro on myself. My name's Evan. I grew up in Houston, Texas. I was in the Army for about 6 years. I commissioned through West Point, and then went on to work in finance for a little bit. In the service, sorry, real quick on the service. I was, like I said, in for 6 years. Served with the 75th Ranger Regiment for a number of years as a fire support officer, so doing kind of forward observation type stuff, FSO work, and then ended up getting out, worked in finance for a little bit, and then went back to business school at Wharton where I met Chase, and then we co-founded VRB Labs. So that's kind of a quick background on myself, and I'll pass it to Chase.
Yeah, man. Again, thanks for having us on. This is awesome. My name is Chase Hobby. I grew up in Clearwater, Florida. Went to the Naval Academy for undergrad, and wound up getting a slot in flight school. So I became what's called a naval flight officer. Did that for about 10 years, launching off the pointy end of the aircraft carrier and small little jets. And it was an awesome life, and I had a great time doing it. Towards the tail end of my time, I just took stock of kind of what I wanted to do in my second act, and really super tough decision, but decided to get out, and I headed to graduate school to sort of kick off that next chapter. And as Evan kind of mentioned, go figure, all the veterans kind of find each other, and in the first few days, everyone kind of looks the same, talks the same, walks the same. And all of us ended up being pretty good buddies. And so Evan and I, got to know each other really well. And in the course of all that, we're just kind of in the same boat, man. We were banged up, stressed out, trouble sleeping, inflammation, pain, you name it. Through obviously time in the military, both of us played Division I sports back in the day, and are pseudo washed up athletes nowadays. And so we were kind of looking for options to solve those problems. And really, we were looking for really clean, natural, and effective options. And so, we started walking the dog on the CBD piece. It was something that neither of us had ever really looked into, as obviously as military folks. And we found incredible results. And ultimately what we found is that we could blend, CBD with adaptogens, nootropics, et cetera, to really make blends that we were really proud of, that really did the trick, did it clean, did it naturally, et cetera. And, once we found that we could get that done, and the science was sort of there, we, gosh, man, we just started taking steps. And next thing you know, we're graduating from business school, and we're starting a business. So that was 2 years ago, and we're kind of, full steam ahead at this point.
That's awesome. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting because I feel like this is probably the perfect segue into what CBD is and kind of the benefits of it, right? But maybe before we go down that path, right? I feel like the identification of oneself in terms of having, trouble sleeping and identifying being banged up, right? I feel like that's something that is a very common trope among service members, right? You get out and you're like, man, I can't sleep. Man, I'm banged up, things hurt, whatever. I've seen shit, been through stuff, right? I mean, how did you guys get to the path of CBD rather than physical therapy or drinking, for instance? What took you down the path of CBD?
Yeah. Dude, it was all of it, man.
Yeah, we've been down all those paths. I mean, in the service, one of the things, I mean, you're constantly prescribed like painkillers, you name it. I mean, basically your doc is in your unit with you. So I mean, if you need anything, you just go to the doc and you get prescribed anything right there on the spot. It's super easy, convenient, and it does the trick to a certain extent, but there's a ton of negative side effects. So like we had tried the prescriptions, we've tried physical therapy. There's a lot of benefits in moderation across the spectrum, but like what we were ultimately like trying to find and get away from was like a more natural, cleaner, healthier way to deal with these things. Yes, we still do like, physical fitness as a way for like mental health. And we do a lot of the other stuff like meditation and things like that for kind of a holistic like approach to solving these problems. But like from a supplementation perspective, CBD has been the absolute best, cleanest, most natural, formula for us to solve these problems, as opposed to something else you find, over the counter or via subscription or prescriptions.
Okay. So when you guys reference cleanest, do you mind walking me through kind of that definition? And it's funny because I come from a business background as well, right? My degree's in economics, so when you say clean, healthy, nootropic, stuff like that, it's, to me, I'm familiar with fitness and kind of all the healthy eating aspects of life, right? But healthy, clean might not translate the same, I'm assuming, to CBD. True or false?
Well, I guess it depends on your source, right? So when I mean like healthy and clean, I mean like on the healthy side, like no negative side effects. So there's no crash, there's no side effects, no known side effects from CBD. that, the National Institute of Health has like done several clinical studies and they can't find any negative side effects from it, which is different than I would say like opioids or, even ibuprofen, it'll jack up your liver, things like that. So that's what I'm like on healthy. And then clean, I mean, like it's what my point on that is just it's natural. It just comes from a plant. It's organic, and when you take it, you feel the effect. So it's not it's not made it's not a synthetic compound that they're making in a lab somewhere.
Okay. So Chase, I think you'd mentioned too that you guys did this start I guess going down the CBD path, right? I know you guys had mentioned that you were going through the whole rigmarole of, physical therapy, physical fitness, all of these other things, right? But did you guys both come to the consensus that CBD was maybe your guys' next step in business school? Or was that something that came post? Were you working as like your master's thesis? Where did the idea come from?
Man, it was supernatural how it kind of happened, man. We were essentially, picture us like, no kidding, a week into grad school. In my case in particular, I was, months out of uniform. So I was still kind of like getting my feet under me as a civilian. And, we're two veterans in business school with these issues, right? So we sort of very organically started having conversations between each other and some of our buddies, and we're like, hey, we're all kind of having these same issues. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, are you going to physical therapy? Are you going to yoga? Hey, where are you doing that? Hey, what are you taking for X, Y, and Z? And honestly, I think it was like a Friday night after school. We're sitting around having a beer, just a bunch of guys. We're like, hey, has everybody like maybe tried CBD for any of this stuff? We're like, nah, I don't know. Is that really snake oil, or like what is the deal? And like none of us really knew. And so Evan and I ended up pulling a bunch of money, a couple $100, and we just bought products from a bunch of different places. Because again, if you look out in the marketplace, there's just a bunch of different options, and it's really hard to make sense of which who's who in the zoo, which products are legit, which products are not, which brands you can trust, which ones you can't. And so what we ultimately did was just get a ton of products and just try them ourselves. We split them in half and just tried a bunch of different products. So we found a lot of benefit, but also a lot of questions that seemed to not really have great answers. And so some products seem to work really well sometimes for some things, but not others. And the list goes on and on. And what we ultimately determined was like, hey, after trying products ourselves and finding sort of this like mixed bag of like, yes, there's a lot of benefit, but man, there's a ton of questions to be answered. So we sort of looked at that, and then we went and did the research on our own and looked at the clinical data coming out of places like the NIH and other prestigious research organizations. And we essentially said like, hey, we think that there's something there. And so from there, we just started taking steps, man, like finding people who were smarter than us in this particular field to like help us make heads or tails of what we're reading, what we're feeling ourselves, et cetera. Then to finding a team of pharmacologists and researchers that had tons of experience, no kidding, developing blends of CBD, nootropics, adaptogens, other botanicals to solve for folks with neurological disorders, with chronic pain. And we kind of went to them and said, hey, like we have a hypothesis that, for guys like us who are otherwise like pretty healthy guys, we take care of ourselves, we do the best we can with what we have. But we still have injuries, we've got stress, anxiety, you name it. For folks like us, we also think that these products and these blends could do some real work for us. And so that ultimately led us down to an R&D path. And really, this is all during school. We're going to school during the day, and then Evan and I are kind of like meeting up
down in CBD.
Like, yeah, 100%. So we're just in between classes and like after class, kind of talking like, hey, like we're slowly but surely making this happen. And we ended up getting these products, kind of like a alpha version of the products into the hands of a bunch of our buddies who were veterans, former professional athletes and the like. And we just got incredible feedback. A lot of folks were like, hey, where do we get this stuff? Hey, can I buy some more? Like, are you going to run out? Can I just buy up the rest, whatever you got? And that sort of got the light bulb going, we're like, oh geez, like, I mean, I love the products, they work for me, they're fantastic, but like, looks like a lot of folks that are in the same boat as us, that have the same sort of needs and desires as we do, are are really loving these products. And so I think that's when the sort of business idea to like, really see what we could do here,
Yeah.
really caught some fire.
Huh. Okay. So then your guys' approach, was it genuinely to go, and this is kind of maybe a multifaceted question, because I am not very familiar with the world of CBD and kind of the different strains and you use the word ointments and kind of the different compounds that make up a CBD oil, right? When you guys, and I probably totally misstated all of that, but when you guys started to work through this process of understanding, which oil from which manufacturer does what for whom, right? Are you guys putting together this entire, like, I live in the world of spreadsheets and, reports, right? Are you building out this massive spreadsheet that says, hey, here's a symptom that, friend A has, here's the, ingredients, and here's what it did fix or kind of help identify. And then that's what you use to go build out your formula? Or was it, I mean, how did you go through that approach?
Yes, I mean, kind of like that essentially. I mean, CBD is a singular compound. So CBD in isolate form is just one compound, and no matter where you get it from or what plant or whatever it is, if you're getting a CBD isolate and it's isolate form, it's the exact same, no matter where you get it from. Now you get into different extraction methods, whether it's a full spectrum or broad spectrum, and you have other cannabinoids and terpenes and flavonoids in there, and then you can have kind of a different oil. So you're going to get some different effects after that. But our theory and thesis from the beginning was like, can we take CBD, which has been shown in isolate form to provide benefits for pain, stress, and sleep, and combine that with other natural ingredients, nootropics, adaptogens, to just give people a better results. So like, CBD is good. It's not the end all be all. It's not, it's not going to cure everything, but like, if you can take that compound, which is effective, and then you can combine it with other effective other compounds, and you can do that well, make sure that you're having a nice consistent blend every single time, so everyone's getting the same dose, the same strength, et cetera. If you can do all that well, then you've got a really nice product. So, when we were looking at building the formula, it was like, we started with like, okay, cool. CBD works. There's a bunch of clinical studies that support it. Okay, then what else works really well? And then who is a manufacturer that is skilled enough to be able to combine these ingredients and take their knowledge and their experience with ingredients as well to like help us formulate this? And then once we had that, it was like, okay, here's Gen 1 of the formula. Let's go test that. And do we get good results with our cohort? If we do, awesome, we got something here. If we don't, why didn't it work? What can we swap in? Can we dial up the load of CBD? Can we dial down the adaptogens here, and here, et cetera? And then that's kind of what we did over about call it 6 to 8 month period of like tinkering with the loads and the different profiles of the ingredients to finally land on what is our current formulas, which works. And so that's kind of, it was a lot of trial and error, and a lot of kind of tinkering with the help of these experts to land on our formula.
So when you say tinkering, I mean, I think that's the fun term, but it's probably a lot more technical. Do you guys have, and I know the answer, right? But do you guys have background in kind of the chemistry of these things, or are you genuinely just approaching other experts and leveraging their tools and expertise?
Yeah, 100% leveraging them. I mean, we come in with like, we studied we looked at a lot of the research, and we read all that, anything that's been published on CBD and the compounds that we're using, we probably read. But even with all that information, we still don't know how different compounds react with one another. How do they mix? What's the flavor profile? Can you even mix enough, the amount of the load of the ingredient to deliver what the consumer needs to solve the benefit? And so all of that is like technical knowledge that we don't know. So we lean on our partners to do that. So, they're the ones who are telling us, hey, look, okay, if you want to solve for this, you need this type of load here, you need this type of load here. Be careful about this because it's going to have a bitter taste. You're not going to be able to have an oil base and a water base chemical or compounds are not going to mix well, that type of stuff that we had no clue about. But, thankfully we had some awesome partners that steer us in the right direction.
Okay.
On that front, I would just add that going in, it wasn't really starting from square zero. I mean, we had a team of, again, like researchers and pharmacologists that really pointed us. We said, here's the research, here's the work that you've done, here's who we're trying to essentially solve these problems for, and here's kind of the hypothesis. And they really sort of went in there with, we were starting at the 50-yard line, knowing what works for populations A and B, and essentially trying to apply those same ideas and lessons learned to population C. And so, again, it was a lot of, standing on the shoulders of giants, so to speak, where we were able to really just kind of take the next step in the direction that again, really smart people had taken before us.
Yeah. So then let's talk about population C a little bit more, right? Because I feel like kind of in this conversation, population C has been the stress, anxiety, and, for lack of a better phrase, joint pain crew, right? Is that who you guys are specifically targeting this for, or is there multiple compounds so far that you guys have put together?
Yeah, so we have one formula for each of those use cases.
Okay.
So we have a daytime formula for stress and anxiety that also helps with focus. We have a nighttime formula for sleep, and then we have a roll-on topical for pain, inflammation, kind of the joint issues.
Okay. And I've used 2 of the 3. So when we met, you guys had your little testers out, and I had that night that I grabbed it, I took a little bit of the CBD, and I don't think I've slept so good camping in my whole life. It was pretty funny. Like, I mean, I was sleeping in my little bug net and everything, and normally I roll in my sleep, and I woke up and my sleeping bag was still perfectly zipped up, and I was dead to the world on my back. It's pretty funny. So,
Nice,
and then I have tried your the daytime stuff, and I've gotten a lot of things done in a very short amount of time, just because I could actually pay attention to one thing. So, so when it comes then down to you guys starting the business and everything, right? I feel like that's kind of where you guys have worked through the whole, getting the formula put together, understanding your population, right? I feel like you've got the marketing thing you're working towards, right? I've seen you guys on the Instagrams. I've checked your website out. But how did that kind of transform from this idea to testing it, getting the use cases, to getting your formula built, to saying, hey, this is what I want to do for a career next?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, just, I guess in general, one of the things that really inspired me to want to really run after this business is just because of my own personal experiences with the compound. So I struggled, pretty significantly with, like, I still do, with like daytime anxiety, stress, kind of PTSD type stuff. And I've looked for a lot of ways to help that. I do a lot of things to help that, just outside of supplementation. And they all, there's 10 things that I do, and each one of them gets me a little bit closer to helping. And then CBD is another one of those things in terms of supplementation that's really helped. And because of that, I'm not ignorant to the fact that there's a huge stigma around CBD. It's kind of this, like, it's this, like, snake oil. It's like, does it work? It's like a hippy dippy thing. Like, I don't know, that's not for me. And I felt a lot of that as well. Like, that's where I came from. Like, I went to West Point. I was in the Army for 6 years. Like, what I mean? Like, that wasn't like where I came from and the culture I grew up in. So it was very tough for me to kind of onboard onto this compound. But once I did, and once I got a bunch of benefits from it, that's when I was like, holy shit, like, there are all of my friends, like all of my close friends, are very similar to me. All of my veteran buddies who I served with are a lot like me. And I guarantee you they're out there saying, like, that's not for me. Like, I don't really want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's when I was like, man, we gotta build a brand. We gotta build a trustworthy brand around this great compound, based on our formulas, and get it into people's hands to help people, because they need it. It helped me, and I want to go help other people. So, like, let's run after this and make it happen. So that's kind of that was like kind of the moment, once we realized we had a really awesome formula that was really helping people, to turn the jets on and be like, let's build this company, man. Let's go out there and help a bunch of people.
Yeah. Okay. So in that same kind of vein, then, to ask about some of the daytime anxieties you have that it's helped for. or helped you with, right? I mean, what are you willing to share or that you're comfortable sharing with as far as the things that pop up that cause you anxiety that you believe CBD is helped you with? And I'm asking so that if somebody's waffling on the idea of trying CBD, right, or relating to you guys, maybe helping them take that step in trying CBD just as a potential solution. Did that question make sense?
Yeah, it does for sure. So I think one of the important things to know to keep in mind with CBD, specifically when you're thinking, specifically for our formula, our daytime anxiety formula, is it's very similar to like another like other supplementation. So like if you're accustomed to supplementation, you take vitamins, maybe you're taking a fish oil or taking a vitamin E or some, those types of things. You're taking it because it allows your body to have all the nutrients it needs to be able to perform how it's supposed to perform. So like when you take CBD, it's similar in that regard. So like, you're not going to take CBD. It's not like THC. You're not going to take CBD and all of a sudden you're going to get kind of like mellow and like, roll back in your chair and immediately feel this effect. What you do with CBD is if you take it consistently and you load it over, consistently over a number of days, it's allowing your body to regulate itself correctly. So, people who have really high stress levels or have these flare-ups, their body is having a difficult time regulating. So your endocannabinoid system is in your body and it's regulating things. So it's like, hey, here's a stimulation, and like here's a response, and that's the stress that like goes out of control. It goes too far for some people. But when you're taking CBD, it allows your endocannabinoid system to regulate and to block essentially overproduction of a lot of those chemicals that cause those stress reduction or stress situations. So if you're consistently taking it, you're allowing your body to like shave off that kind of 10% of unwanted stress and to like be able to stay level throughout the day. So, it's not for someone who's having like severe panic attacks and anxiety attacks, things like that. Like that's something that you probably need to go get additional help with. But if you're someone who's looking to, to shave off that top, kind of unwanted 10% of stress that's keeping you from, taking action or, engaging on what you want to do and living the life that you want to, then CBD is totally something you should work into your routine to help with that situation.
Yeah. So I'm hearing then CBD should be viewed as more of a tool than a solution.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So then another personal question, right? As someone who's kind of navigated life, right? What other tools are you using in conjunction with CBD, right? And again, asking so that we're kind of equipping other listeners that want to relate to you, maybe some motivation to go find other tools.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, on the stress one, again, I'll just talk to this one. Chase is like the sleep guru. So he's struggled with sleep and has beaten it, so he can talk to those. But on the stress piece, like, for me personally, what's helped me is having a very, very solid routine that I stick to that involves things like, fitness. So every morning I get up and I'm working out. I try as hard as I can to get up and work out every single morning, Monday through Friday. I try to get 5 days a weekend. I don't always hit it, but I try to get fitness in at the start of the day as much as I can, because that just kind of sets the tone and it allows me to feel good and move good. And it allows me to stay in that routine. So if, that's one of it, eating right, hydrating, these are all like very basic, like things that you've probably heard, but if you can do those consistent things every day and you can stay in that routine, then I find that my stress levels they stay very level and I'm pretty good to go. Like when I start getting into bad situations is if I go out, to work meetings late and I'm eating kind of shitty and I'm having a bunch of drinks and I get up the next morning and I miss my workout. Now come like 10, 11 p.m. a.m., I'm starting to get stressed out. I'm feeling like a piece of shit because I didn't get my workout in. I ate bad, and like all these things like compound on one another. So if you're able to stick to your routines and be disciplined about it, then it just sets you up so much better kind of down the road each and every day to not have these, shitty, stressful kind of flare-ups, if you will.
Yeah, I can 100% relate to that.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. So Chase, man, if we could maybe, if you're the sleep guru, do you mind sharing some of the things that you've kind of learned to use and tools and supplementation as far as CBD and goes to get some rest?
Yeah, man, 100%. Before I was the sleep guru, I was the shitty sleeper. So
You're the
I'm
awake guru.
yeah, I'm gonna be your guy for that. The one thing I would well, a couple of things I would just add really quickly that we can maybe touch on later if you want to or not. Like a couple of things that have helped me in addition to everything that Evan mentioned are journaling. I kind of got into some therapy after I got out of school, sorry, out of the military, and that's been super helpful to go along with everything that Evan mentioned. And I literally am thinking about it because my journal is sitting right in front of me, and it's red. It's like, hey, look at me. And so anyway, we can maybe touch on that later if you want. But on the sleep side of the house, man, gosh, just a handful of things that I have over time really built into almost like a full on ritual that I start around sundown that gets me to sleep. So really from the start, I guess starting from the beginning, I don't drink coffee or anything like that after, call it, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's really at the latest. Probably noon is closer to the real answer. It turns out that caffeine has just a half-life of like something like 8 hours or something like that. So like if you're drinking a cup of coffee at 4 in the afternoon, half of the caffeine is still in your system at midnight. So like, think about that. And I'm guilty of all this stuff. So like, take it. This is like, these are hard lessons learned. But like cutting out coffee and caffeine early. At the end of my day, I will do what I've kind of called a shutdown sequence, which again, for me, one of the issues that I've had through life is being sort of, leaning pretty far forward in the straps to where I get very stressed about, accomplishing the things I want to get done and making sure I'm everywhere all the time. And so what used to happen, I mean, through my time in the military, for the most part, I should say halfway through, when I figured this out, is, I'd shut the light off, and as soon as I laid in bed, I would start thinking about like, what did I not get done today that is going to sneak up on me tomorrow? Oh, did I plan? I got a meeting coming up tomorrow. Shit, like what do I have to do for that? Like, oh, I need to wake. I now need to get up and reset my alarm clock so I can get up earlier, so I can make sure that I'm not screwing this away. Yada yada yada. So like, what I ended up coming up with for myself was a shutdown sequence of, all right, hey, here's what I got done today. I'm going to look at my plan for the week, my plan for the month every night. I'm going to just take a look. I'm going to knock down the things that I've already gotten done. I'm going to look at the priority order list that I have in front of me. I'm going to look at my schedule for tomorrow, and I'm going to start putting the big rocks in to make sure that I know exactly what's coming down the pike for me tomorrow. And I can sort of prove to myself like, hey, you're good. You're planned up. You're ready to go. Tomorrow morning, you will wake up and be ready to attack the day with no surprises, along with sort of a real quick final triage of like email and that kind of thing to make sure like, hey, all the questions are answered. There's nothing more for me to be stressed out about here. That way, when I shut down for the night or walk away from my desk from work, I'm done. Like there's nothing that's gonna come and surprise me, barring anything, wild. So I'll do that. And then really after that, it's kind of common stuff, man. I turn the temperature down to, high 60s, mid 60s. And I sleep with a eye mask on. It turns out that's like the least masculine thing a dude can do. But I do it. It's sweet. I sleep like a baby, so I'm not taking any questions. So I do that. And obviously, like, again, we develop these products for ourselves. Like VRB is really the sort of the brainchild of our own issues. And so for me, I'll take about 3/4 of a dropper full of our rest blend about 30 to 45 minutes before I'm hopping in bed. And for me, it sort of puts me in a headspace where I'm ready to go to bed. It's not like it knocks me out or anything like that. It just about 30, 45 minutes after taking it, I'm like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to turn off the light and lay it down. Really great night of sleep. And then you wake up feeling refreshed, which is again, like a relatively new thing for me. It's only been, the later part of my life at this point where I've like been waking up pretty regularly, feeling good, which is like, honestly, I think about it all the time. I'm like, man, I wonder what my life would have been like if like early on I would have slept well and just felt good. That would have been sweet. But yeah, those sort of the big wickets of my go to bed ritual.
Yeah. So both of you guys have learned things about yourself that help you either stay de-stressed or to de-stress or to fall asleep. Now, I think one thing I feel like a common misconception in self-development is how long it actually took, right? So it seems like it's a pretty simple process that you guys both have dialed in now, right? To kind of help yourselves out. How long did it take you take you each to understand this is what works for me in this moment?
Yeah, man, I'm still trying to dial it in. Like, I don't think you ever like fully get there. I think once I became open to like really digging into like these tools, tactics, techniques that people have been preaching, like, none of this shit is new. Like, people have been writing books about this stuff and, talking to people about it and like spreading the good word for forever. It's just like, are you able to like, at what point are you able to like be like, okay, I've had enough. Like, I'm going to try something new to help myself. And so I don't know when that was. It's been within the last, call it 3 or 4 or 5 years, to really dig in on that. But it's also like some self-realization too. Like, when you critically analyze like at least for me, like your routines and like why am I feeling like shitty? Why am I stressed out right now? Like yeah, I never really like took the time to like take a step back and like critically look at like my life and what I'm doing and what I'm consuming and all that stuff. To like really realize like what could be the reason for these stresses, and that in addition to all the things that I've been reading and trying to study on, is when I finally like, okay, cool, like this is what I can do, this is the form that I can take forward to help myself. And now the question is like, can you consistently apply that? And like, no, I'm not like always great, I'm not perfect about doing all the things that I know are going to help me feel and move better, but I'm a lot better than I used to, just because I took the time to really analyze it, and then to take the time to build in new systems to help myself. So it's still a work in progress. And I'm trying to get better every single day. And I don't think, I think you can get really tough on yourself to, and beat yourself up because maybe you're not there yet, but like, no one's really there yet. It's not, you're never going to be perfect. It's just, can you incrementally get better every single day? Just a little bit, you'll feel a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, and just keep doing that, keep, chipping away at it. And I think over time you look back and like, man, my quality of life is just a lot better now than it was, because I've just consistently been doing these things to feel better. So I don't know, that's not a great answer, but that's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah, it's the answer I expected, right? I mean, it's one that I experience on the daily too, right? Is that took me about 18 months to get a pretty solid understanding, but no 2 days are the same.
Yeah, it's tough.
Okay, so I feel like we've covered kind of a little bit about the compounds, kind of the use cases for CBD, how you guys started Verb, and maybe my next question is, where do you hope to take Verb in the future? How can people find you? What else do you want people to know about the products that you're putting out and how to use it healthy, and then obviously how to support you guys?
Yeah,
It's a
man.
loaded question. It's a
Yeah,
super low. Yeah.
it's a lot, man. And honestly, like as sort of Evan mentioned early on, our goal is to help folks like us that need help. It
Mhm.
turns out that a lot of guys like us, specifically folks that are just driven folks that are used to just getting stuff done and accomplishing goals and moving on to the next thing, and all that, like we're not really that great historically at like reaching out and asking for help and doing sort of the work to make ourselves feel good. We're about accomplishing goals and getting stuff done. And we beat down our bodies, we beat down our minds, and really like through this whole process, that's sort of where we started. And honestly, it's I've only become more and more convinced that that's like, our mission here is helping folks like us who need it. And kind of where we're going on that front is really, again, like leaning hard into recovery, into longevity, into performance across not only physical performance, but mental and cognitive performance. And so I think what you'll see from us here in the future is really just us leaning very, very hard into really innovative solutions to problems that, again, that folks like us have. And it's sort of all couched within the idea of, hey, these things need to be like clean. They need to be non-habit forming, have no, adverse effects to get where you're going. And again, they've just got to be effective. Like if we can do those things well, then we're going to be really proud, continue to be proud of kind of what we're doing and who we're serving and the products we're putting out into the market. And so we are we're new, we're a young company. We're still out there freaking chucking and jiving and scrapping our way to make stuff happen. And again, it means a lot to for you to kind of put us up on this platform and give us a chance to kind of chat about it and tell folks kind of what we're about. So, we're at VRB Labs, VRB, Victor Romeo Bravo Labs.com. We'll go ahead and I'm doing it on the fly. We're going to do it live. How about we'll put together a code for 20% off for your listeners. We'll call it Vanguard 20.
Awesome.
And I'll go ahead and put that into the system as soon as we're done. But yeah, we'd honestly love to help again folks that need it. And you can reach out to us directly if you've got questions. You can literally reach out to us directly through our Instagram. It's at @verb_labs. One of us, somebody on our team or us directly, will do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. And obviously, you can reach out to Evan or I directly if you've got questions about really any of the stuff we've talked about or other stuff. We're again, what fires me up most in my day is the ability to reach out and help folks, and anybody who needs it, we're all over it. So please don't hesitate to reach out if we can be helpful.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I will totally take advantage of the all right, well, we've covered quite a bit of ground, and one of my kind of favorite questions leading into the tail end of the conversation, right, is of all the things that you guys have experienced and all the things you guys have gone through and learned, is there anything in particular that you're like, man, I don't get asked this often enough that I would like to share, or I learned this and I wish I'd have known it sooner, or I know Chase, you'd mentioned writing and journaling, right? Is there anything out there that you're like, dude, this is something that was so profound to me that I want to share with others?
I'll jump in. I mean, honestly, you teed me up there super nicely. I am relatively new to the journaling game. It was like really tough to sit and look at a blank page. And I heard for years how effective it was and how helpful it was. And I made up every freaking reason in the universe to not do it. I was like, well, I don't have a pencil. My notebook's full. I don't know. But I will say, man, that like in terms of helping to clear out sort of the cobwebs of what's going on in your head, if you're having issues, if you're having anything from like professional issues, personal romantic issues, if you're just having trouble in life or not, if you're trying to live at your best and figure out kind of what your purpose is and how to take steps to achieve that purpose. Turns out that sitting down to just write is a pretty incredible thing. And really what kind of got me over the hump was just saying, you know what, I'm going to write 3 pages every day. I'm going to, one way or the other, come hell or high water, I'm putting 3 pages worth of sometimes absolute dog shit onto the page. And I do it every morning, and it's what ends up happening, even when I don't have anything to say, if I'm like just not into it, I'll get maybe, I don't know, 3/4 of a page into it, and somewhere out of my subconscious, something that's bothering me or some kind of issue that I'm having will sort of pop up, and I'll just start writing about it. And then next thing you know, I'm at page 3, page 4, and I'm talking my way through it and getting all those sort of disorganized thoughts out of your head and onto paper. Have a real effective way of, or I should say, are an effective way of organizing your thinking and sort of helping you wrap your head around what the problem is, no shit, and then what the solutions or potential courses of action could be. And so I definitely recommend that to anybody who is human.
When you write, so I write too. So I don't think I've probably talked to you guys, but I've got, some wicked obsessive compulsive tendencies, right? Like for a long time, that was like the demon in my head, and I had to write for a long time. And I've got journals full. Do you keep your journals, or do you like burn them? Do you reflect back on them at all? And I'm asking because I've got some that I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do with them. Like, I don't want to look at them, but like they're there,
Yeah. Honestly, it's a good question. I have a stack of them sitting right over here. And frankly, I don't know the answer for it. Um, part of me thinks like it's cool every once in a while to go back and take a look at them. I think it's kind of not only is it just interesting to think like, oh man, I guess that's where my head was 2 years ago or whatever. It's really nice to be able to see how far you've come, and you're like, oh man, like I was sort of a soup sandwich. I was like totally disorganized. I was confused. I was anxious. I was like angry for no reason, or I was sad for whatever reason, or whatever's on the page. And you can sort of see your evolution. So it's kind of a cool way of seeing like how far you've come and where you're coming from. And then and so I guess that's why I have them sitting here. That's why I haven't tossed them. On the other hand, I'd be very open to hearing somebody talk about the benefits of just like of getting rid of it, man. Just like spring cleaning, getting rid of a bunch of clothes that you don't wear. I'm sure there's like something sort of freeing about like getting rid of that stuff and feeling like you've got maybe a clean slate. So that's not anything I've done, but I'll keep my ears open. And if you hear of anybody who's done that, let me know. I'd love to explore that.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So Evan, man, is there anything profound that you've learned over the years?
I mean, nothing in terms of like tactics. I guess like at a high level, I think one of the things that's helped me the most is just being comfortable to bet on yourself, and then just consistently taking the steps to get after whatever it is you want to do. I think that a lot of times, or in my years ago, I would kind of hem and haw on like, man, I really would love to do this, but like the timing's not right, or like I'm financially not ready, or I'm going to move in a year, so I'm going to wait to do it then, or maybe I'll go get this job first, and then after that, I'll be ready to do whatever it is I want to do, whether it's traveling or reach out to talk to somebody, or start a business, or go to school, go back to school. All these things that are like, they're scary decisions, and there's a lot of implications that come with them. But time and time again, if you just bet on yourself and then just take the leap of faith, burn the ships, if you will, then in the end, it will all work out. It just freaking does. If you stick to the course, you stay the course, and you every single day you take one step in front of the other to get closer towards that goal, and you don't stop for long periods of time. And this is not like you're not going to do it for a week and then stop and get there, but like you have to consistently take the steps to get to where you want to go every single day. But just go do it. Like whatever it is you want to do, whether it's start a business or go travel or in some sort of part of your life because you're in a bad relationship or in a bad situation, or you want to move. Like all these things are you are able to conquer them. You are able to get out in front of them, and you just have to trust yourself and just do it. And that's something that it took me a long time to kind of get comfortable and confident with myself to be able to do that and go out on my own. But ever since I have, there's no going back, and it's been a roller coaster, but I'm doing it, and I feel my life is a million times more rewarding than if I just kind of stayed the course and let life happen to me. So I don't know. This is kind of my words of encouragement for people who are listening to go out and do whatever whatever the hell it is that they want to do, because life is very short. I don't know if it's fortunate or not, but having served and just seeing how short life is, no time to waste. Get out there and do what it is that you want to do, and have fun. So that's it.
That's it. Have fun. Do whatever the hell you want.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate both of you taking the time tonight. I mean, is there anything else that you kind of feel compelled to talk about, or feel like we covered all your bases?
Dude, man, this is it. You've nailed. You've got us.
You cut right to the core of it.
Yes. Perfect. Cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Evan, Chase, thank you guys once again for taking the time to sit down and share your story with me. For those of you listening, please be sure to check out verblabs.com. I will link their website in the episode description and use code Vanguard20, Vanguard20 for 20% off any full priced item. But otherwise, you all have a wonderful week, and we will catch you next time.